Yeah, Sadiji, can go on now.
Yes, it is fine. It is
Hello.
fine. Yeah, we can
Yep,
hear you.
it's okay
Kara,
now.
since you have already started the recording, uh, you'll mute, then I'll take it on. Okay. So, as we all, already know that today we are supposed to start Power Query, and uh, the challenge is that now we have taken the time. I thought we could use the 15 minutes for reviewing the charts the guys sent through, though we can review that later at another stage, but still we can use WhatsApp to do the reviews, but try to do some practice for whatever we have done before to make sure that you expertise. Now, Power Query is one of the tools that is in Excel. We are going to look at what is Power Query. I will explain it in the layman's language. So Power Query is a data connector which prepares data. It prepares data, it connects you to data, and it automates data. So if you have anything, any report you have been doing for a while, and you take a long time preparing that data, that is one. Then doing the same tasks every day. Now Power Query is here for you. When we reach at some point, we may not do it today or the other day, but it is all about practice. You'll find that there is a lot of automation that we shall find with Power Query. Now, we shall look at the interface of Power Query and a few things we can talk about Power Query. Power Query here, there is in Excel business, there is we have three things we talk about. There is always Power Query, there is always Power Pivot, and there is always Power BI. I remember someone was worried about Power BI on the group, but Power BI is something that will come later on at a certain stage. Now the three things move together. We call them business intelligence tools. So Power Query will always help you to get and transform data. And that's what they tell us. We always share these documents in the drive. Please always go there and try to read through. So you have your raw data. You'll always get that data from wherever it is, from whatever source it is, and you transform it. Transforming is what we have been doing in the few days ago, where we have been doing the cleaning, add this column, remove this row, remove duplicates, all that is cleaning. We call it transforming. Now, when we come to Power Query, it becomes something extended that in a blink or a click of a button, you have done like 3, 4, 5 things you have always been doing in a manual way. Then after you may have data from the different sources. We always create tables relationship. By this, you'll always find that you have a table that is speaking about the sales representatives or the sales reps with their age, with their families, the spouse, and all that, you name it. Then you'll have a table with materials or items, with their prices, with all the configurations they will have. Now you'll have tables or reports that come from the systems we use on a daily basis. Now, you'll find that all these reports I've talked about, they will always have a link, a relationship between themselves. You'll find that you have a salesperson in one table, you have a salesperson in another table, but in this other table where you have salesperson, you only have the sales they do in their markets. In the other table, you have the dates of birth or maybe the age or the gender or everything. How can you connect the gender and the sales they make? If you say, I want to know among my sales reps, male and female, who have high performance in their routes, It means you'll pick male from another table, you come and pick cells from another table. But will those two things connect? What connects them is what we call data model. To find that you have like four tables or even more than that, but you're connecting them with some fields that are alike to each other. So when you have done that data modeling, like you have connected all your tables, there is also some bit of what we call DAX, that is the data analysis expressions, which we call formulas or functions in Excel. So you'll find that in Power Pivot or in the business intelligence tools, it's called DAX. You'll hear about it, DAX. They call them measures or DAX. So always when we start analyzing data, you'll find that you'll have to create some functions in the back end. There is a point where you will want to look at that data in the previous year, same day to day, 13th of June, but 2022. If you are to visualize that on the dashboard, how are you going to create that same filter? You're going to use a formula which we always denote as a DAX. We shall look at those DAX, but it is all about the practice that will perfect what you'll be doing. Then when you have got your data, you have transformed it, you have made relationships in your data, you have created the expressions to completely analyze this, then you'll go forward now, we shall go forward and start creating dashboards. The same thing when you reach this part, because this is Power Pivot. We did pivots, but I told you that we have Power Pivots ahead. So here they are. Then it is after then you'll create dashboards. And the best app or tool that creates dashboard after doing all this Power Query modeling is now what we call Power BI. So Power BI means the Power Business Intelligence Tool, that is the PBI. So we shall look at all that. Those who are ready to go on with the advanced Excel we have dropped into, then keep tabs, and please, this one you have to do practice if you want to perfect. So here, this is the best thing to happen in Excel in 20 years. Here they say that you import and analyze millions of now. You know, in Excel, in the normal Excel, it always goes up to 1,048,576 rows. But when we come to Power BI, we shall be able to analyze even more than 20 million rows of data. So which means you can even analyze, giving an example, you can analyze data HIMA has created in the last 10 years just in one report, and that report doesn't hang. You know, you have always got reports for 2 months, but you click on something, it hangs for another minute. You click on something, it hangs for another minute. Now with Power BI, it brings you many features that you'll be dealing with huge data, which you will not even feel a hit on why it is huge. Then there is quick building of models and blending to analyze data across sources. I've told you that where we create relationships. You have different 5 tables, but they're all related to each other. You'll find that you create relationships and you can pick data from wherever table you want. Then we shall create fully automated data and fully automated data shaping and loading procedures. So you will create automations. You will create a report that every morning you just have to wake up, update the raw data, refresh your dashboard, and you sit and wait for someone to ask for the report. So that is the automation we have in Power Tools. Then you will define calculated measures using data analysis expressions. So anywhere you find the word DAX, it means data analysis expressions, which in layman's language meaning like functions or formulas. But in Power Business tools, we don't call them formulas because for them they are extended to be formulas. Okay, now you see here they are showing you here that this is Power Pivot. The other time in Excel, I showed you that we can go up to 1 million. But here they show you in Power Pivot, they have analyzed 25 million rows of data into Excel. You see here it is running a supermarket purchases, 25 million rows. Just imagine 1 million, 2 million rows of data. So that's the greatest thing we find with Power Query, that you can deal with huge chunk of data and you don't feel it. Actually, here they give you the difference. When you connect data with the Power Query and load it in Excel data model, the data is compressed and stored in memory, not in worksheet, like how it is. No more 1,048,576 rows. I don't know whether you knew about that. Excel has this number of rows. But with data modeling, you'll always go up to 25 million. Now, you remember the time when I told you when we are creating pivots, there is a check we are skipping that we may not need to check this. It was add data to data model. So that's where now we come. We are going to look at how we add data to the data model. Okay. Now here, that's the way how relations look like. We shall be creating relations. You have been using VLOOKUP to connect tables. This time, VLOOKUP is no more. You will not need even to think about VLOOKUP because you'll get the product table, you combine it with customer table, you combine it with region table, you combine it with store, and then transactions. Maybe this is table from Odim. You'll find that all these tables will be having a relationship. Then what does it mean? It means that I can pick this side a brand and I come this side and pick quantity. I can pick this side a sales region, I come this side and pick total returns. You can come and pick here date, then you come this side and pick the store's name because your tables are connected to each other. That is the relationship. And the relationship, we call it relations. So we create relations to blend data based on the common fields they have. So we are going to completely go into that. I know most of the things we are going to do part of the practical bit of it. So we shall see how we automate your data processing. Now, when we start dealing with Power Query, you'll see every step you create, it is logged aside. We shall have a tab or a pen which logs all the applied steps. Every step you do is logged aside, which means when you run the same report the next day, Excel will help you pass through all these steps one by one, and it will give you the final result without you doing anything. Okay, I think that is it. We are going to rush directly into Power Query. We'll look at it. Today, I wanted us to engage as we do something practically. So using Power Query and Power Pivot, when you want, you analyze more data that can fit into worksheets. You create connections to databases. You blend data across multiple large tables. You automate the process of loading and shaping your data. Then you unleash the full business intelligence capabilities. You'll start producing reports which are real storytelling. You produce a report which exactly tells you what is high, what is low. So I will showcase with you maybe my reports I've done with Power Query, Power BI, then you get a feel of it. Okay, I will just run something here. It's a project that we did for one of the businesses around, but we just need to showcase. Now, anyway, let's look at a report like this. You see a report like this, this one has been created, this is Power BI. It has been created by Power BI. But before reaching here, this person used Power Query to its maximum. So you find that you have a report like this. The moment I click, let's say, on this date, the whole report will convert. Look at the numbers. All the numbers will change to what I've filtered out. The moment you select, let's say, a year, it will automatically change. You see everything changing. So that's exactly we are going to come up with. We want to come up with such reports that I can share this report with someone else and they have full visibility on web without asking me how can I log in. So I think this is okay. Now we can we can hit directly to Power Query. Now, baby steps. Where do we find Power Query? So if you have Office 2016 up to date, I think even 2020 up to 2021, the latest one, and those with 365, then for you, you're blessed because you have everything, because that's what I'm using. But the people who will have leverage to get the Power Query tab is you must have Office 2016. And I know we either all have 2016 or others have 2019. I think I checked that at some point. If you have anything lower than that, please request IT to have the installation for you. You can always put Joseph in copy. This will be done because you need to use the applications that are updated. Now, where do we find Power Query? Power Query is found in the Data tab. So that's where we find Power Query. So you click on the Data tab, you'll always see this part in the corner, which has Get and Transform Data, which has Queries and Connections. We have always come to this Data tab to look for remove duplicates, text to columns, but this time, focus on the left. We have Get and Transform Data, we have Queries and Connections. We are all going to look into this, and there is a lot. I'm going to share notes. I don't know whether you all read the emails I send. There are always attachments detailed for you to do a continued reading. What we are doing here is refreshing to show you that there is something that exists that you are not using. We are not going deep in details. The details you have to practice for you to perfect. So now, when we go to get data, this is what we call, now we have three things. I will share the notes, but for now, I want to do much of the practical as we go on. So let me increase the font for this. Sorry, let me increase the font such that we can all have a gist to this. Now, we have three, you'll always find three letters that we'll talk about in data analysis. There is ETL, just take it from me. You'll find this one. Most of the cases, if you are looking into data analysis, you'll always find this word in somewhere. So the E stands for extraction. The T stands for transformation. Transform, I can just leave it as transform. And the E stands for loading. Now, when we are doing data cleaning, these are the things we follow up. I don't know whether some of you see my statuses I share, the videos I create. A lot of this is there. You can go on YouTube, on TikTok. There are videos explaining how this is done. So extraction means getting the data where it is seated. We have all done extractions. You have downloaded Excel reports from systems. At least all of us here on this call, we have done so. You have downloaded data from SAP, from ERP Next, from those using Zoho, there are a lot of ERPs, I cannot name them. You have systems like Hodim, even we have phone applications where we download data. That's what we call extraction. After you have extracted that data, there is always a job to transform it. We have done a lot to do some transformations. You remember those days, last weeks, where we were getting data we copy it, paste it, remove duplicates, remove blank columns and rows, change the date formats, do what. This time in Power Query, it is going to be a click of a button and you're going to love it. It is going to be a click of a button. The other one was the hassle, which I'm not saying you should leave, because not always that you'll have to need using Power Query. So that is transforming. In transforming, there is a lot we are going to find there. Then after that, we are going to load. Load is sending your data to settle somewhere where you're going to start using it from. So we always load to Power Pivot. The other time we were loading this in pivots and doing summaries in pivots, which we shall be doing something related to the same. So then after that, you'll always now go ahead and start the view. And where do we find the view? This is what you hear of called Power BI. Now, so just a moment, passing through our notes. Now, here they say Power Query tools live in the data tab. We have done that. You'll always find upgrade, get and transform. You have seen that I've shown you. Then it starts with 2016 Excel. If you have something less than 2016, I'll not show you shortcuts how you can get Power BI. Just have the updated one such that you make life easy. 2016 above, you'll have it. So we shall look at the connections. Now, we are going to find that Power Query, you Excel you seated with on your PC, can connect to more than 100 plus sources of data, both on net and offline. A lot we are going to go through. We shall look at how it works, but just know that there are connections from files, there are connections from databases. I remember once I had a report that I was creating, I was connecting it directly to Hodim database. In other words, I never needed to download a report because it was connected directly to the Hodim database. Every morning I wake up, I just do a refresh and life goes on. So you will connect to Azure. Azure is a Microsoft database, also online. When you hear people saying that my data is stored in cloud, sometimes these are the cloud bases. So you can have online services. We are going to do one sample running a table from online. We are going to run a football table, let's say a Premier League table or any table. You'll note it out. Then we see how it brings it in Excel automatically. Then even other sources. So you'll go there and run them. Then we shall come back and look now at the Power Query editor, which has zillion of details for you to just click and do your part. I remember I had promised Rachel to go through the macros, but I thought like we shall first go through the Power Query, then the macros will be a one-off at some point, because we are leaving the macro technology. We are coming now to the querying and the intelligence technology. So we shall come back to this now. Our first thing is, how do we extract data? So you go to data. If you don't have this, you can always enable these tabs. You go to File, you go to Options, then that pop-up you receive, you go to Customize Ribbon. Now on Customize Ribbon, you'll find always all the tabs you have here. The moment a tab has no check and OK, I'll never find that tab here. So you see data has disappeared. I can remove all these tabs and remain with only Home. I don't know whether you knew about it. So that is one step. You can always go there and activate, which means I can untick all these and I remain with my Excel with just the Home tab. And anyone who will come to use my laptop, He will never use Excel because he will come here nothing completely. Actually, you can even be malicious and remove the home tab, but that is being suicidal. So that is the way how you can activate. So if in case you don't have a tab, please always go to that point, custom ribbon, and check what you don't have. Those who have used macros, always developer is always unchecked by default. So you can always check it if you need it. Then even Power Pivot, those people who don't have Power Pivot, you're going to check it from this end. And if you don't find Power Pivot that side, you'll come to, I know this is a recorded session, so I don't need to repeat so much for you to understand where it comes from. You can repeat the recording. You come to options, then you come to adds in, those are add-ons. Then you come here on Excel add-ins. You see, these are the Excel add-ins I have. You may not have all of these because I have a subscribed account of 365. So which means you'll come, if you who is looking for Power Pivot, you'll come and click on com adds in, you say go, then it will open the adds in you have. Power Pivot is always disabled. So when you disable it here, even it will not be visible here and even in the ribbon. So you can always come this side, tick it. I will not tick the other ones because I don't need them at the moment. Always have what you're going to use to just have everything clear for you. Okay, then you'll always have it here. Power Pivot is going to help us do the data models. The data models I've told you, those are the relationships we create with tables. Okay, now we go to data. So when you go to data and you go to get that data, this is the first part of extraction, get data. Then transform even is part of this because it is part of the Power Query editor that you launch here. Then after that, there is queries and connections where we do the loading and all that bit. So when we come to get data, you have a lot of options here. You have from files, you can get data from an Excel, you can get data from a text, you can get it from an XML, that is a web data, you can get it from a PDF. By the way, if you have a table in a PDF, you can get data from that table directly. So you can get data from a folder. We are going to look at that. Here we have databases going downwards. There are a lot. Actually, I'm using Office 2019, I think, because I see I'm missing some things here. Okay, but it is okay. What we need, we have it. Now, there is also an option of getting data from web. Getting data from web. Here, it is here. So getting data from web, I want us to start with that before we go to other bits. Now let's go on our website. We tell each other what we have been doing. So you go on a website and search for a Premier League table, which is this. So I will click on this link such that it opens fully. So we go on web, we search for this Premier League table. You see, this table, the way how it is. Someone has told you to analyze maybe to the teams that have a best 5 or whatever it is. My poor friend Elisabeth will come and just copy like this. So you'll just press a Control C, you go to your Excel, you create another sheet, you will press a Control V here. The mess that is going to happen, only God knows. So we are waiting for it to paste, and here we go. Now, our data has pasted, but is it the way how it was in the other table? No, it was not the way how it was. We are going to do a lot of stuff. You see here, they are blank rows we have brought with the data. You have to remove them. You have to make sure that everything is aligned at the end of the day to get what you need. Before we are doing this, let's say, you say remove duplicates. After removing duplicates, so here they are even telling you that you have margins, which means if you have margins, you have to copy this data, you take it somewhere else, you paste it as values here like this, paste as values. It has also failed. So a lot of things you go through, and to make sure that you sort out this in the neat way it is supposed to be, it becomes a struggle. So now, how do we do it with Power Query? Now, Power Query, you'll go on that web, you copy this link. After copying that link, you come to your Power Query, you go to get data, of which some of you may find it in get data, then you find web somewhere. But my from web is here. So I'm getting data from web. So the moment I say from web, it will open where I should paste the URL. I'll not go to advanced for now. Let's first deal with the URL. So you paste the URL there, you say okay. The moment I say okay, it is going to run, it is connecting to the web. Make sure that you have internet this time because we are connecting to the web. Then there are many things here which we may not go through. If that web is for the organization, let's say you have like the TAC dashboard. So which means you'll have to do with organization account. You log in and to accept your access. There are those webs where we have web APIs. Then there are those webs which are basic. Then there are those webs where like Logon we have that you log in, it logs in using, it looks at your Windows login credentials, which means when I log in as Sabiti on my Windows, on my laptop, even the Logon I will open, or the Zonda will log in as Sabit Christopher because I'm logging in as Sabiti. So in case you need that, it will ask here for Windows, you put here the username, you put here. But if you say use my current credentials to look at what you are logged in with, here, Sabiti, then it is the one it will use to log in. If it finds that you don't have access, it will tell you. But this time we are logging in anonymous. Why anonymous? Because this is an open source. I have logged into this web without logging in anything. So I'll go ahead and say connect. Now it will run, it will establish the connection, give it time, make sure that you have data. Then this is the navigator we shall get. So on the navigator, it has a document which is showing us, I may not go in details of this, HTML table null. Here, when you come to view the web, how it looks like, you see this is the way it looks like. Remember now we are in Excel, but we haven't exported. Here it is showing us how in the web it is. Now, when we come to table, we go on table view. When you come to table, you see how our table is smart in the table view. So this is the way how the table is going to be. So I will go ahead and load. Loading, I showed you here that we have extraction, transformation, and load. Now, if I have anything I have to adjust here, I'll go to transform data. But if I feel this one is okay, I'll go to load. So I will automatically load this. So there are also options, load and load to. You remember we looked at those options where load to gives you an option of either loading a table, loading it as a pivot, loading it as a chart, loading it as a creation, a connection. Now this time, when we go into another extended data, that's when we shall be saying load as a connection and add this data into a data model. By this time, we want to load it as a table, such that we look and appreciate the table we have got from the net with ease. So I will go ahead. No, I need this existing. I'll go ahead and say okay. So the moment I say okay, my table is going to load. This is the table we ended up with. Man City had 89 points. Arsenal had 84 points. Going downwards. Now, do you know the beauty that it is with this? That if this Premier League was still going on, every time I come when matches have ended on a weekend and I do refresh here, this table will update automatically with what has updated on this web. So which means I will have my table in the web in Excel. Maybe I'm using it for some other charts. Either I'm getting the top 5, I'm creating a graph for the difference of points, you know. But every time they play on the weekend, it will automatically refresh. Even there is an option to refresh automatically when I open this, which means every time I come to my sheet and they have played maybe another match, it will automatically refresh with everything. So guys, this is the simplest way how Power Query is showing you that it can load the data from the web automatically and bring it here. You can go ahead and now start doing the pivots, start doing all that bit. So if here I say, let me filter out by number, you remember we did this, those that have greater than 50 points. And I say, okay, it automatically filter like this. I'm doing this from Excel directly. But if I was on web, then I had to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 50, it's here. There are how many? 10. But every day I will have to come and count. But this side, the moment you have done this filter, the moment another 11th team plays and reaches to 50, let's say this team plays, this one, Crystal Palace, the moment it plays its games and gets like 50, and yet you have a filter of 50, it will automatically add itself here as number 11. That's how Power Query automates things. You can automate something from online and have them directly in your report. Now, the beauty, how finance use this. I know we don't have a finance team here, but how do finance use this? Finance use it maybe mostly in like those Forex bureaus. They can have that data of, let's get another data of Forex updates live. So we need to pick at, let's go with this Forex news, Forex table, no. Forex currency trading. Let's go with that. We see whether we can find their table for, okay, here. I'm just looking for a web randomly. We are just trying to put our skill in use. I'll close this, redirect me, thank you. But as we have questions, if there are any questions, I'm looking for, okay, here we have this, but not in a table format.
Chris.
Yep.
I have a question.
When
you move that data from the web and you transfer it to the Excel sheet, does it still remain live? Like if the data is still on the web, it can changes. So when you take it to the Excel, does it remain live?
Exactly, it remains live. That's why I was telling you, this report, this data we've got Premier League, if there was a match that was being played today and we refresh, it would refresh automatically here with what is directly on the web. It is, you have already automated your bit that you have picked data from the web. Every day you come and check from here than going to the web. And why do you do that? Maybe you want to use this table in your calculations or in your analysis. Or you have picked a Premier League table for 10 years. You're doing analysis. Arsenal has taken how many trophies in 10 years? It has won how many, it has how many goals? How many goals have they conceded from home? For 10 years, you can have that analysis. And that analysis will be dynamic, such that even when it is playing in 2023, every time you go on a weekend, they have played, you check your data or your dashboard, which you created, you will see the report will have changes because the data you're using is dynamically automated directly with the web.
Okay.
Yes. Now
Hello.
here was
Chris,
okay.
I have a question. This is Joshua.
Yes.
Is it also possible to like edit that data so that maybe having a title for it?
I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show
Okay.
you. Yes. I'm just trying to pick out some other table that is Forex. Then we can go with it.
Chris, how
But
about you
just
use something close to home? I don't know if it would help, but perhaps going to the URA portal
okay.
or the Bank of Uganda portals, they usually have exchange rates. Huh?
Oh. Now the URA
I was also worried for the females on the call.
So we are just getting the idea on how we export data. I don't know which part. I'm not well conversant with the portal. Rachel? Okay, let's try to run this. But
no, right down at the bottom, Chris. They were right there. They're down there in the blue. Daily exchange rates in the blue.
Oh, this?
Yeah, I don't know if it's possible to use those.
Yeah, let me try to run this. Okay, here it has run. So let's see whether they can allow us to snip that table from there. So I'll come here, create another sheet, call it tax rates. Then we go to get data, but it is here on web. It is just a shortcut is here. So click on that, insert your URL, then okay. Just we pray hard that we are logging in an anonymous, then we connect. So some webs you'll find that they have a lot of tables where you'll have to look for the table you're looking for. Now you see now like the URL, the page you have brought, it has some table creating account where you put your TIN and passcode. There is this. If you want to web view, you can come here, but it's not so important for this purpose. There is this table, which is just giving details of your country and all that. You look for the table you're looking for. This is table number 3. So you see, we shall go with table number 3. I'll click on it, then come here on load. So we shall say load this. So we shall wait for it to load, whether it will bring for us exactly what is there. So it is unfortunate that the tax rates are hidden on that web. You know, the URA portal has limits. Like you can't right click on that portal. I don't know whether you have ever realized it has a lot of security. So that's why we can't take these exchange rates. But at least you see that it picks this. So if you went to another web that can give you access to pick this, every time this, actually with these rates, every minute you can refresh and it refreshes and it brings you different data. So that's how it works, which means if you have calculations done somewhere and you have linked it with maybe the dollar rate that is here, your report will dynamically change with the rate as it is current. So you'll not have to think about what was the rate yesterday, what is the rate today, what was the rate the other day. It will have to sync dynamically. But the challenge with that, it means that if you have past data like data for 2022, and the rate by then was 3,700, and now it is 3,800, it will automatically pick for today because you're linking all your data directly to a web table. So you can go ahead, you're going to try it out, try to pick some tables from the net. There is an analysis which was done. Mostly they talk about the World Cup table for the last 10 years. No, let's do for the last 50 years. That table is on Wikipedia, I think. So when you go to that table, all-time league. So let's see whether we can snip it and look at the dynamics. And I think it is going to be the last. So here you see Brazil, the draws it has done, the losses it has done, and the goals it has sniffed to the, the details, I think they come when you click on Brazil. Then it gives you the details how Brazil acted. But this may not be our main focus. Our focus is, can we pick this table as how it is, this one? So I'll copy, go back to my Excel. Then here, I will create another one actually. Go to data, pick. Then if you are used to pick data from a certain resource or web, you can always come here on recent sources. You'll find them there. You just click on the source and you go ahead and load the data. Rather than every time to go and copy the link, you can always find it here. Also, when we start using our own data in our own folders, like you already have a folder on your PC, you don't have always to look for it. It will always be here on the recent sources. So here we'll go to the web. I think this is the last for the web. Then we can look at how we modify data. We haven't gone into another bit of modifying. So I'll connect this. The moment it connects, it may bring many tables, but you always look for the table. You always have a focus on what you're looking for. So still it also brings table 0, which is this. And we are going to automatically load this. Now let me go on the transform bit. Now, when we go on the transform bit, it means that maybe there are some columns I don't want to pick. Maybe I want to add some columns. This is the transform bit. I never wanted to come here this early, but here we are. Now, this one is called a Power Query editor. When a Power Query editor is open, you can't open any other Excel document on that PC. Not until you're done with what you're doing. You come here, close and load or save. It closes, then you can open any other Microsoft Excel workbook or any file anywhere on your PC. Don't call IT when you open all the files and they can't open, yet in the back end you have this Power Query editor open. Now, I remember last time I told you, Excel has made it simpler to us that we who don't know coding, it will always give us an interface. And here we have the applied steps. Here we have the query name, which you can change. We shall see how we can change this. Then other features. Let's first go through the other features. This is the Power Query editor, which I had not wanted to go to before we look at the details. Now, the first one is called a query editing tool. All the tools you'll be using, click, split, group, change data, remove rows, remove this column, leave this column, append, merge, doing what, all that. You can have data for 10 years from Hodim in one folder and merge it in one click. And it will merge. You'll find that you only have one sheet speaking of all of the data of Hodim that has ever been transacted. We shall come to that point. So here we have data preview, where you'll see your data from. Then you have here the name of the table, or we call it a query name. Then you have the formula bar, which we call M code. Now, every time you click, you do this, you do that, Excel is creating a code in the back end. When you reach a point you have mastered Power Query, you have mastered the M language, you can always go to that code and edit it without doing the changes or loading again fresh data. Then these are the applied steps. Every step you do is applied here. Every step you do drops here. Now, because they give you the steps here, this is what I have to note for you. In Power Query Editor, we don't have Control Z. We don't undo. If you cancel all these steps, then you repeat afresh. There is no Control Z. There is no undo when in the Power Query Editor. Anything you do there, they give you a step. If you want to change anything, go to the code or come to this step, cancel it, or go to the setting of it, change what you had filtered, where the source is coming from, that way. But we don't undo. Now, that is it. That's what I wanted to show you. Let's go back to our data. Okay, here we go. Now you have already seen what we have talked about. I will call this my World Cup data. The moment I enter, it will even change here the table name to World Cup. So every step I'm doing, it is being logged here. So if I come to this is the rank. So I may come here and double click if I want to change the heading and call it rank. Remember, the data we are dealing with is online data, but you can modify it the way how you want. And even it will refresh with your modifications part. Now, I've put rank there. It will show you that you have renamed the column. Every step it will show it. Now you see here, this one and this one were merged together. But this time we don't need this. I will delete this. So you can come here and you say delete column. There are other options here. I will not go to them now. Let's just delete that column. When you delete that column, it tells you have removed that column, which means if I come and click back this side, I go back to the other step, I can see the steps I had before, the renaming rack. This one is there. When I come here, I see it is gone. All those steps are there. When you go back to source, it will take you to the source where you got it from. When you come and click here, it will bring you the URL where you got it from. This was the URL. So you can work backwards at any point you want. And even you can do forward at any point you want. So that's Power Query. So you can go ahead and rename this. Here, the W, you see, my team will not be conversant with the W. Let me call it a win. Here, my team will not be conversant. Let me call this a draw. Let me call this a loss. You go ahead and do all those bits. When you feel like there are some countries we don't want to appear in our report, you can go ahead and select them out here. The moment you select them out, all the refresh they will be giving you, those countries will not be part because you removed them. Now, what else do we need? At least I've tapped everything. Now, when you look at this M code, for this step, you see this is what we have done. You went to the table, rename column, then you renamed W to win, you renamed D to draw, you renamed L to loss. You see, it gives you that in form of a code. So if you're already sure of the code, me, I will come here and say, I will change this. I say, I didn't want this to be a loss. Let me call it left. Let me call it left. Then that is it. Which means if I come, if I refresh this, you have to take this to accept the changes. When you tick that, and you come to your table, you see it will change automatically to left because I've just done the edit directly from here. So if you want to look at the full code it has created from top to bottom, when you go to view, I'm just being slow. When you go to view and you go to advanced editor, it will give you a full code. It has been running in the background. Those who are not, those who don't want to look at the code, it is okay. It is okay, we have the front end. But I'm just showing you that there is a code that writes in the back end, which means if you don't want to repeat or edit from the front end, the person who is well used of the code, he can come and edit everything from this side. Like you've seen me editing left and from loss to left. You can come and even change this URL and change it to something else. A lot. You can even change directly everything from the code, but you have to understand M language to do this directly from the back end. Because in programming, a full stop, a comma means a lot. A comma means a lot. You can crash the whole program by just deleting a comma. Okay, let's go back. Let's say done. Let's go back to our main interface, which is this. Now, when you come to the transform, okay, got it. When you come to the transform, let me click in my data. When you come to the transform, you'll find a lot of things. We have, you can transpose your data, you can reverse your rows, you can change your data type from number to something else. You can find and replace this thing. You do Control F and place this, it is there. You can unpivot columns. We shall see how we unpivot columns, by the way. You can split these columns. You can come and say, let me split this. Because these were goals considered and them scored. So you can say split this where you find a semicolon split. Then you come here, you say split by a delimiter. You put there the delimiter, which is a colon already detected. And when I say okay, it will split. It will split goal 1, goal 2. Now for you can go and rename. These are goals scored. Then the other ones are goals conceded, like this. Goals scored. Then these are goals conceded. Excuse me for my spellings, but let's go with that. Goals conceded, which means when you load this data, every time it refreshes with the web, it will run your steps the way how you want them. Even though in the web this is combined, for you, they will always give you the 2 columns as how you transformed them. Which means if I remove this step, what I've done will completely rename. So they have renamed because I renamed these 2 columns. There is change type here. There is, this is automatic, done by the system. This is the splitting I did. You see the splitting. Then when we come here, renaming columns when it was fresh, still together. Now, when we go back to the other code, you'll see that that code has added itself. You see, we split these goals using a semicolon as our delimiter. Then we had 2 columns, which was goal 1 and goal 2. We renamed goal 1 to goal scored and goal 2 to goal scored, goal conceded. Everything is archived in the background. Now, when you are well conversant that everything is done, this is what I need. I will go ahead on home, do close and load. The moment you do close and load, it will load the sheet in your Excel. The moment you want to load it differently, you can do that. So I will say close and load. And you give it some time. There you go. Your data will load. Which means you see now the two columns we have got because we transformed them, the renaming we did. Now, when you rename from here and you say this is loss, and come and refresh this, it will go back and pick what is in the query. It will bring back what is in the query which was left. Which means if you want to rename, you have to go back to the Power Query editor. By a mere clicking of this, you'll always have this tab here. It shows you that it has loaded 83 rows. When you hover on it, it will show you a pop-up. So you can always go and say edit. Or you can right-click on this and say edit. Edit is here. The moment you say edit, it will again open the Power Query editor. You go and do all the dynamics you want. When you're done, you come back. When you're done by changing this to a loss this time, like this, it will log that step there, then close and load. It will load, and it will load this time with a refreshed rename, which we did as a loss. So the moment World Cup plays and another team here wins World Cup, these are the teams that have ever won. No. Actually, these are matches played. The countries that have ever played in World Cup. I'm searching for Uganda. No, Uganda is not there. Sorry. So here it shows you that Brazil carries the highest metrics because it has played 114 matches, which means it has been in World Cup more times. It has won 76, it has drawn 18, it has lost 19. It has scored 237 goals. They have scored it 108 goals. The difference of that, and it has gained these points. Then the other teams which are in negative, but at least they played in World Cup. Other teams which have 0 points, but at least they played in World Cup. So, so when they play World Cup like today, this report of yours will update automatically with the teams that are there and what they're achieving current. So I think we get now a gist of Power Query. And this is just only one thing, only one that is from the web. We still have a zillions of them, a lot. which we shall look into as we go forward. So here is the web I was looking for, but you have a shortcut here. So any questions before we skip to something else? I know this one will give you enough practice to understand Power Query, but in the next minutes, I want us to go deeper and deeper into Power Query. Anyone with a question?
Christopher, me, I'm excited because I don't need macros anymore. I believe this one can solve my problem.
Exactly, that's why I'm hesitant.
But my question to you is, how do I, okay, we've seen how you import from the web, but now how do you then how do you import from, like, is it possible to import from SAP to start with? Or I would have to export to another function?
You ask a good question. Rachel, I'm running sensitive reports for HIMA as a company in finance. The reports I download are so heavy. Can we request SAP to give us an API such that all our reports are in a certain API, where me as Rachel, I just run a link of that API and I can just jungle with data for 20 years for HIMA without downloading everything from SAP, then try to look into cleaning, which the report you'll do for like 3 days, and an API from SAP. Because accessing SAP, you'll need access. That is the API I'm talking about. Where you'll need maybe the team SAP, team Hodim or team Zonda to create for you APIs, because there are some reports which you want to connect directly. But it is so sensitive always for some systems on the security bit of it. Because in case your PC has a virus and your virus can't scan Excel because maybe your virus is configured to scan only the web and maybe Flash is put, it means that this data can be corrupted, or that API can be corrupted because of someone's laptop, which is not safe. That's why it is so strict always on the control side that someone can give you an API to log directly. As we go on, we shall look at, I will share with you websites where we have free data for practice. They have APIs. You can also get APIs of weather forecasting. You run a report like this for weather forecasting, like it updates for you. Kampala now, the temperature is 26. When you refresh in the evening, it updates Kampala, the temperature has become 19. Like you have everything here. So that is the API I'm talking about. So it is always hard to do that. But for now, we shall always go for our reports. But since you'll best understand how you can automate, you can always have those reports, dump them in a certain folder, come and do the magic this side Power Query, then you start running your dashboards. Actually, after here, you go and create a pivot, then you run your dashboard. So, any other person with a question? Before...
Yes, Sabiti.
Yo.
Thanks for this. I think we are moving and graduating well. But I am just concerned, how do I merge? Let's say I'm running a report, like a weekly report, but it has a lot of parameters, sales, stock, customer purchases, inventories, all that. But it's one report. In Excel, I can run it sheet per sheet. But how do I make sure that Power Query merges all that at the end of the day when I'm putting my pivots, all that is coming in as one report?
Okay, that one gives you a passport tomorrow to be the first person to join early. So
absolutely,
your question is I will not even speak about it now, because I want us to gradually move with the team. I know some of us have used Power Query, but that is something he's talking about is completely the automation we feel like tomorrow everyone needs to have to make sure that you have your reports automated. Every morning, you don't have to keep downloading data data for Apple. Just download data for Apple once and for all. Put it in your in your tables or in your folders. Every time they say, do for us a comparison of year to date. Don't go back to the system. Don't give someone an excuse that SAP is off. So those are the things we are looking at, to have always that data readily available. And we shall look into that tomorrow. I promise. So today we have looked at, so far we all know now what is Power Query. We have looked at the features and the benefits of Power Query, and you'll see the benefits as we go on. I'm just reading into our course outline. We have seen how we access Power Query. You go to tab, get data, then you start searching for what you want, either from web. Then now we have seen how we import data from the web, and now I'm going to try to see how we import data from an Excel sheet, how we import data from a text file, how we import data from a database which we don't have, not today, APIs, SharePoint, all, you name it. Now, there is a report here I was trying to load, such that I give you a snip of how data looks like in Power BI, but we shall load it. Even tomorrow is another day. Okay, now, we have seen how we import data from the web. Let's transform from there and start looking at how do we import our own data in Excel. So there is data here I had prepared. There is data I had prepared here. Power BI resources. Here we go. No, not that. Combine files from PDF. Okay, let's look at something else before we go directly to what we are talking about. Let me show you how we get data from a PDF. I'm going to copy this file. I put it on in download such that we can easily look for it. There we go. So here is the file. It was combining, but let's look at this. Now, you see when I open this PDF, you see this is a PDF. It is a PDF document. It is a statement of a certain company. They have sent you a statement and your boss has said, please, we always, when they send a statement, we always have to make data entry. So you say, me as a data clerk, I was employed to do this. You sit every morning, you punch in data, you will have reached like here, you go for breakfast. You punch in data, you reach like here, you go for lunch. You punch in data, you reach like here, the day ends, you go home. But what you have worked on, someone else can do it in 2 minutes. That's how your job will have gone. Because you spend 30 days to do entries of 30 invoices. Someone will spend 3 minutes to do entries of 200 invoices. And at the end of the day, you say, someone is bewitching me at the job I'm having. But that is a joke. It is just a joke. So we want to see how can we put this data in Excel using Power Query. This is a PDF. When you check here, though I'm running it in the web, it is a PDF. And when you check where I've picked it from, it is a PDF. And it is for August. It is running data for August. This is one invoice. And they show us there is another invoice for July, there is another invoice for June. Remember now, Miss Abiti, I enter every month a day, which means these are 3 days. In a week, I'm doing this. And even I get tired by the way. So let's see how we can do it in Power Query. So when we come to Power Query, I'll create another sheet. I think we have created many sheets, but I know you'll harness your own data because I don't need to share this. So I'll create another sheet. Let me call it PDF. Now when you get to data, get data, and you come to from file, there is an option here of from PDF. So you'll come, it tells you to import data from a PDF. So I'll come and say, I want to import that data from a PDF. So it will automatically open an Explorer. So that Explorer will help you to navigate where your data is. Remember, I put it here in the download such that you can easily find it. So we shall open, and this is the August we are looking at. So I'll click on the August and say import. The moment I say import, always give Excel its time to establish a connection to do all what it is doing. Then it will bring for me tables. Now, this sheet this PDF you're seeing, this is being looked at as a table. This is being looked at as a table with names and everything. Remember, even you may have the task of putting these names somewhere. You may have a task of putting these summaries somewhere, but do you need the summaries when you have done a class of data analysis like this? No, because you can create this by your own self. So we shall go back and see which table we need. So when I click on table 1, it will show me here is your statement. So when I go back, you see where the word here is your statement is, that is table 1. We don't need that. Table 2, we don't need that. It is having the other details. Table 3, we don't need that. It is the summary. Obviously, table 4 should be the table we need. This is the table we need, guys. So, and it has all the columns. These are sheets. Now, when you go to pages, it will give you the full page, of which you'll have another hassle of removing these columns, which you don't, these rows, which you don't need. But we have already done that data cleaning, and we are still doing more. So this is page 2, this is page 3. But now this table is showing you that it is giving you page 1 to page 3. So I have no worry. I have to go with this table than going with page 1, combine page 2, combine page 3, and they're all separate. So I'll go with that table. You see the reason why I tell you to have tables? This is the reason. So this PDF was created, that person had created a table, just copied the table somewhere and put it in a PDF. Okay, now, what next here? You can go and say, I want to transform this. But if your table is clean, you can go directly and load it. But I may not load it because I see column 5 here, which is not named, and I don't know what it is. Let me first go back to my sheet. That column 5, I don't have it. It is only that some of the things split and created their own column. So that one will push me directly to not go to load, but to first go to transform data. So I'll say, let me first transform data. I look at my data in Power Query Editor. For a discipline of visualization of data, it is always good to use transform data first before you load, because you always have a load option here, which is another option. But when you load it with errors which you would have removed before. Now, ignore this because we are using the same sheet which is already having the other queries we have been running. So ignore those. This one came as this table. So you can come here, you rename it. What are we renaming it? Is we say this is statement for August. So I'll come here, rename this, and say statement underscore August, like that. Enter, and here we go. Now, you see now Power Query automatically detects dates. I had not talked about the data types, but we are going to talk about them. These are the data types. We have decimal number, currency, and all go downwards. Now, when you click on this icon, it shows you the data type that is there. Now you see that Power Query automatically looks at your data and says this is a date. You'll see here when we start loading the other HODIM data, the exact HODIM data, it will automatically detect the other data as a date. Rather than we were struggling with date value, remove this, find and replace. Now, we shall come again to look at how we change this, but for now, let's focus. Now, this and this, it looks to be that it is only this item that was part of this, and it was split into another table, which called itself table 5. Now, my job is not to lose this data, because I may say that click here and remove, but in case they came and asked me this code, can I search it from my data and get it? You have to think about that. Not everything is for removing. So you can go ahead and join these two and combine these two. So there are two options of doing a combination. When we come to transform, there is, we have split here. We have, this is count rows, is combine, merge columns. So merge columns, it tells you that it concatenates the current selected columns into one column. So when I click on merge column, I want to join these two columns because I see it split in error. They will ask me, yes, you want to merge the column. Do you have any separator you want to use? I'll say yes. Use a space. Where is space? Where is space? Where is space? Here. In other words, between this and this, let them put their space. Then if there is anything here, it will add. If there is nothing will add. Then I say, okay, go ahead and merge. Just in a blink of an eye, this has been merged. You see, it has been merged, and now they call it merged. So we can rename. If we go back here, it was transaction details. So I can copy that, then come back to this step where I have merged. You see that Power Query, you can even go backwards and come in front. So it is like you're driving an automatic car. So we rename that, and it will rename. And you'll see that we have merged this item. Where is the item? Where is the item? It was B something. So we have merged the two items together, and we have no worry. Everything is merged together. So the challenge now I have is they are looking at this amount as a text. Those are the things you have to do in transform. But if we load it directly, we are not going to do all this. So I will come here and say, you know what, guys, this is a currency. The moment you change it to a currency, now, this is where you start hitting a snag when it tells you that, yes, you are hitting an error. It means that there is something at the bottom that doesn't comply to be a currency. Or there is another way how we can run this. So when we come on date and try to filter out, we see if there is anything that is unusual, it's okay. You can go with that. Now, the other option of changing this as a currency, I can change it to a number, or you can come here and say use local. Use local means that Excel is going to pick the location you are in, and it will use the details of the location you're in to change this data. So I'll say use local, then it will open a prompt for me, and it will give me, okay, it was a text. I will say, no, I wanted to change it as a currency. And they will ask you wanted to change it as a currency. Because I'm in Uganda and my Excel is reading Uganda, that's why it is showing English Uganda. But you can go ahead and change to any country you want. So here, if I say, okay, if I hit an error again, it means there is something that is prohibiting you from changing this. So what is that something? Remove that $sign. You can always remove a $sign by saying, okay, click here, you come and say extract, or you can find and replace. There are many things. I told you there are a zillion of things you'll have to use here. So you'll come here and say replace, find and replace. I'll say, find for me that $. Find for me that $, and leave nothing. I'll say, okay, the $. Has gone. Now, if I change this, let me change this to decimal, it changes to decimal. Now, after changing it to decimal, I'm trying to tweak it. After it has changed to decimal, I can come again and say, by the way, you are currency. And they will ask me, should we replace this type you just changed? I'll say either replace or add another step, if both of the steps I need them. So I'll replace as current step, and it will automatically change this to currency. Because I'm in Uganda, it has not put the other currency, but you can always come and change this to local and put your dollar sign. So, which means when I go to matrix, I will be able to aggregate this, like add, subtract, multiply, do this. But when it was at this stage, I told you, anything aligned on the left, it is not your business. In aggregation point, you'll have to do a lot. Make sure that it always aligns on the right. Okay, here we have done enough transformations. Let me show you something else before we leave. I know we are running out of time, but I will want to go with at least some bit of data since you have the recording. Now, in case your boss wanted you to have a report by month, you're going to have days, you're going to have all that. You remember the other time we were using formulas, equals to text, serial number, MMM because we need month, D because we need day. I know now what I'm talking about, everyone understands. That's why we needed to start with basics. Now, when we come to Power Query, just select the column where the date is, move slowly to add column. There is the portion that is entitled for only dates. When you come to this, it has everything you need. You want to add a column for year. Do you want a year? Do you want when it starts or when it ends? Do you want a month? Do you want its name when it starts, when it ends, days in a month? A lot. Do you want a quarter? Do you want a quarter of the year? Do you want a week, its name or where it starts? A lot. So go there and do all the dynamics. I know some of them we shall see them. If you want to subtract, let me give you a hint. I want to subtract those who do jigo. Select the two dates, enter and exit. Go to date. This time say, subtract for me those dates. I don't know any formula of subtracting. Subtract for me the dates. Power Query is going to subtract for you and give you another column with the difference in dates. If it is time, it will subtract for you the time. If it is duration, it will do the same. So we have gone way far. Let's go back here. We want a column for month name. We shall say, give us the month name. The month name will automatically be added at the extreme. This is August. We want a column for name of the day. It will give us name of the day. Here is the column. You see, we are not struggling with formulas. Remember, there is someone who is still entering data because this was a PDF. For them, they are still entering. They haven't reached this part of doing the formulas equals to text MMM, what we did manually last time. So when you are done and you feel like this is it, go ahead, go to home and load this, close and load. Remember this data, we are extracting it from a PDF, and here it is. Remember that we said that this data is going to be entered by someone the full day. He will reach here, go for lunch, reach here, go for breakfast, reach here, go for dinner. So we have done it in a click, only that we are explaining here and there, but someone who was doing this for the matter of time, the 2 minutes, it is much time. So, and we already have this without a struggle with the formulas. Here we go. Now, is there any question on how you can pick data from any PDF they give you? But that PDF shouldn't be a scan. Eh? If it is a scan, I will show you another technique of picking that data from a scan. Here I'm talking about a PDF which was saved from an initial source as a PDF, not a scan. But if it is a scan, still we shall come there. Just make sure that you always join these calls. Okay, any question? We have 20 minutes to go. Okay, now, remember this is only August. Now, okay, even there is a document that dropped for September, but that's not our worry. Remember that this person was given data for 3 months, and that person was supposed to do the entries for 3 months. We can help this person do the entries. So that is what we call combine. We are going to look at that. So here we go. Now, when you look at this sheet, you see that all our tables are having the word credit card statement, August, credit card statement, July, June. We want to combine the data in all these 3 PDFs. Just in a blink of an eye, we should be good to go. Now, how do we do that? I'm creating another sheet. We call this combining. Guys, if you have a question, you ask. But in case you feel like your question, you can find it in the recording, it's fine for the matter of time. Okay, now we go back to our data. This time our goal is combining the other PDFs, the 3 PDFs into one sheet because we want to enter that data in Excel for analysis. So I will click here, go to get data. This time I go to from file. This time I will not go from PDF. I will say I want to look at a folder that has all those 3 files. So I'll go for a folder this time. I'm growing bigger. I'm going for the folder, not a file. So I'll go to my downloads. This is the folder. I'll click on it and they will ask me to open it. The moment I open it, it will load because this time I need a folder. I don't need a file. Now, Excel is going to give you all the files in that folder. But now the challenge is, in this folder, we had an Excel file, we had a screenshot, a JPEG. We don't need those 2. This JPEG and this XLSX, we don't need them. We need only PDFs. Now that's where you create a culture of always transforming data before you load it. The moment you load this, you're going to load the names of the files. You're not loading the data there. So here we have to transform. And don't say combine from here, still you're not going to get the target. So I'll say transform data. You see now this time we had a combine option because there are more than 1 file. Now when we come to this data, when you look keenly, I don't know whether any one of you knows the meaning of binary. When you go to binary and read about binary, binary is the data type which stores a collection of metadata or a collection of data. So the whole of the other PDF is just here in binary. The whole of the PDF of this is June, this August is here. That's why you see that for it, when you check its header, here it has content and it has 2 arrows facing down. When I hover on those 2 arrows, it shows me combined files. But these other columns are having just drop downs of filters. Now, I don't need all these wordings. What I need is only these credit notes. So you can always pick the statements. You can always pick a keyword you can use. Now, a keyword to pick all these 3 can be PDF. Actually, I can come here, filter out only PDF because I'm only focusing on PDF like this. And it will put for you a step that, by the way, on this stage, you filtered out PDF. Then, after filtering out PDF, at this step, don't you think that we no longer need all this trash? We only need this column that has content. So I would have clicked one by one, deleting, one by one, deleting. Someone will ask himself, are you going to delete that column you have filtered? No, this is Power Query. Already it has archived a step. It has no change with what I'm going to do next. So you would have done one by deleting, but Excel Power Query gives you an option that if you're going to delete many of the columns and you're remaining with one, come select this one. Right click on the one. It has an option of remove other columns. So instead of me deleting one column by one, let me select this one I want to remain with and remove other columns. So I'll click on remove other columns. They will automatically be deleted. But if I come back here, I will have my columns. If I come on the next step, they have gone. But they are there in the background. That's why we said it that for it has the ability to create reusable data. So actually here it is combined file PDF. Okay, let's leave that as the name. Then now, since we want to combine this data here, I will come and click this. When I click that, it will combine my files. Then it is going to evaluate a query and open another dialog box. Now this dialog box, they are going to give me a sample. They are not giving me all the tables, but they are giving me a sample of one file. So you see they are giving me a sample of the first file. So remember we looked at taking a table with pages 1 to 3. So this is the table we are going to go with, which means every file they are going to bring for us table 004 if we go with this as our sample. So I will say go ahead and use this is the sample, and exactly this is what I need. So it is going to evaluate again, process the queries. I know we are going very far, but this is what we ideally meant to do, but you'll view the recording. So exactly now here we have reached the stage where we were. Sorry, there is something open in the back end. What is it? Okay, here we go. Yeah, it was honing because I can't click in the other Excel when the Power Query editor is open. I told you when it is open, first finish Power Query editor, what you're doing, load, you'll do other things. So it has detected the date. That's not my worry now. Remember what we did here. I will do it quickly. Combine these two. Gum to transform. Say merge the columns. It will merge them. And it will ask me a question to use a space. I'll say okay. Now it has merged, but I want to rename. I want to use the other real name. I will come back here. Double click, copy the name, go back to the other step, double click here, rename that. I've renamed already that step done. Remember now here we are dealing with data for how many months? If I filter for you. Anyway, we shall create a column for months. Then you know how we dealt with this? We dealt with this by removing $. After removing $, we said here, replace values. Then we removed $. After removing $, we tweaked it, and let's do currency directly. We see it was directly into currency. And the next thing we did, we came here, we added a column. We came here, we said, okay, add for us month. Now, month is vital because we have more than 1 month. Add for us the month name. Okay, that is done. Add for me the day, name of the day. You can go ahead and add many, but add what you're going to use. It is not a matter of adding. So when you check here, this time we have, so when I try to check here, I'm not doing anything. You'll see I have my August, I have my July, I have my June, I have my September. So I will not tap anything like, okay. You see the steps it has created. Every time it is creating steps. So when you do Control D, there's no undo. The undo is canceling this and going backwards, or you check your data, how you have come, connecting it. If you have an error, you can keep checking, you see where the error is starting from, then you right click and delete steps up to the end, you start afresh from there. So that's how you can always do it. Now, here I'm well conversant with what I have. Let me load it. No more time to waste. Let's load this. You'll sit back and wait. It will load all the data. If I was not explaining this, I would have done this in less than 2 minutes. So when you check here, these are 3 months. Actually, they are 4. And when you check the data we have loaded, these are 262 columns. Now, let me ask you, if you were copying this data from a PDF, pasting it in Excel, or typing it in Excel, how much time would you have taken? Then another thing, do you know that it is 100% prone to mistakes. Like you can imagine these transaction details. Do you know that you'll put a detail of someone who transacted in the bank and forget this full stop in the account name, and the whole thing goes berserk when you are running audits? A lot of errors. It is prone to a lot of errors, but the moment you automate like this, we even didn't want to know what is here. But for us, we have automated the data. So when you go ahead combining, and this is it. So in case, there is a trick I want to do. In case I remove June and drop it out, where should I drop it? Let's create a folder here and drop it here. Just right click and create, create a new. Where is new? Anyway, I want to drop a file outside here. I want to remove June. Let me remove it and drop it outside the folder. So I've remained with only July and August. Now I want to show you a trick. So the file is here. Let's keep tabs with our file. We shouldn't lose it. Where is it? Yeah, here it is. Now I'll come this side. You see, we still have the 3 months. When you check here, we checked that we had how many? 262 rows. Let's assume that even you have created a pivot. This is something small we can run into. Let's check that. Let's assume that you created a pivot. You put the number of months here, and you put the amount here, and this is the money you have like this. Yeah. So we have June, July, August, and September. Remember that one file we have removed it. We have dropped it outside, which means if the next day I came, either I have updated my data, I never wanted that month, the moment you refresh, Power Query is going to refresh automatically because it is linked directly to the other data, and the 1 month will have to disappear. Has it disappeared? We have to refresh all. Yeah, here it is. June has gone. June is gone. So because June is no longer part of the folder. Remember, our data source was a folder. When it loads here, you'll see it is a folder. So June is gone because it is no longer part of this folder. This one, it is no longer there. Now, if tomorrow they give you the data for June, and I say, okay, here, let me copy June and paste it here. So the moment I go back this side and refresh all, June will reappear. Are we refreshing? Oh, yeah, here we go. June will reappear because we have added it again in the folder, which means the next day, even if you bring October, you put there. So imagine that this is a summary you created. It is connecting to a folder that is having a lot of data of yours. Every day you just come here and refresh as you check on people on there was what they are doing when you have already done your work. But it is just working smart. So Power Query will give you that leverage of automating everything. So guys, I will not exceed here. I know you may have wanted us to go even up to tomorrow, but will not exceed here because tomorrow is another day. Let's try to log in earlier tomorrow to make sure that we cover a lot. And it's good we have recordings. You can always go back and play at your own beat, pause, refresh, backwards, wind, forward. It is all in your hands. When the video is loaded, I think Susan will upload for you. Then now the 3 minutes we're remaining with, though we started late. The 3 minutes we're remaining with, let me first entertain some questions. We can't go without asking questions.
I have a question, Chris.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, do you save this Power Query, because you're talking about refreshing, do I like save this onto
Yes.
like my desktop, and then tomorrow if I want to refer to it, I update my folder and then come here and refresh the same saved Power Query?
Yes, actually, I've made me remember that I didn't save since we started. So you'll come here and save it. Let's say you save it anything you want. I'm saving it queries. So the moment you save, for you, what you will do now, let's assume that this folder you dump there holding data, you already connected it very well and all that Power Query you did it some point back. So every day you download the data for maybe yesterday. Me, what I used to do is every day I download month to date. I remove what I put yesterday, I replace it with what I've downloaded today. I go to my report, which you will already have saved somewhere. You just say refresh, and everything will pick as how you commanded it before to pick. If you have a dashboard like the dashboard we created last time, you will refresh, that dashboard will update with the data for yesterday or today or the other days that have added on, or a month. Everything will remain the same as how you commanded it to be. Another question? Have I answered you, Christine? I think I've answered.
Yes, you have. So if I keep throwing my raw data in my folder. When I come to refresh the Power Query, do I still need to format the way you've been doing, or all the formats will now have been just
refresh? You don't have to repeat all what you did. Actually, that's why they say 80-20. You know the 80-20 rule. Take 80% of your time planning, formatting your sheets, all your data templates. The 20% will always give you the output. So we took 80%. Christine, you'll have taken like 3 days to come up with something good that speaks to the report you are entitled to report every morning. You get? You can even have many folders. You can have a folder for ODIM, you can have a folder for Logon, you can have a folder for SAP. Maybe in SAP you have a folder for pricing, you have a folder for invoices. You will connect all those. I know we are going to reach that point of power pivoting, relationships. You'll connect an order that was created in Hodim, you connect it with what is in SAP, what is in Zonda. You'll see all the 3 reports will connect together for you to just be a click away. So it is all about what you plan, but obviously you will take time to plan. You can even take 2 weeks to come up with that report. Every day you come sit in office, you're building something. Then the other days you go on leave, you just tell people to keep refreshing, just. So I think I've answered that. If there is no any other question, it is already 9 sharp.
Submit.
Yes.
Yes, I'm using Microsoft 2016, but I tried following your prompt and I can't see fetching or importing from PDF. Does it mean 2016 doesn't support it, or there is another way of fetching it?
Okay. Most of the cases, some of the things, I don't have 2016 here but you can always go on the web and put Excel 2016 data get and transform. I just put it there, then you search for the pictures, for the images. You look at the images, how they are. Then you can also add here the word PDF. At least there will be someone who was having a trouble with, like you, and he did that. They will show you, like here, this one is showing from PDF. Is this 2016? This 2016. I don't know what you are. But you can check it out and see whether it should be there, but in another format. Now, when we go to an extended Power Query, which is like 365, I want to show you how it looks like in Power BI. Actually, this Power Query we are doing, it is the exact thing we are going to find in Power BI. So when you come to data, here, you'll see there are many. So when you come to more, they will always be there. But still, if 2016 has all the basic ones we are using. So you see where you go on file, it has these, when you go in database, splitting in that way. So some Excels that are extended like 365, it has all this. So, but if you are so much in data, you can always go for 365. Don't stretch yourself doing a lot of hard work, yet you can spend that 70,000 as a subscription. I know the company may not subscribe for you, but it is 70,000 as a subscription for the full year. If you are someone who uses that on a daily, who uses Excel on a daily, 365 has a lot of things which you may not find even in 2021 Excel. So that is, like me, I've paid now Excel for the last, I think 4 years, because I was so much into that and I felt like I should always be updated. So you can always go for that. In case you need to see how to subscribe, you can always chat me and I take you through. Any other question? But you try to search, it should be there.
All right. Thank you.
Any other question? Okay, it is 4 minutes above our time. I know, I see 2 people have dropped. We are 26 from the start. So if there is no any other question that you felt like we couldn't leave untackled, please, you can raise it. But any question that is data related or what we have done related, it's good we have a recording. It will be shared. Please access it, and I'll transfer the recording to YouTube for those people who use smart TVs, because a smart TV you can't play a video from Google Drive. So for easiness, or on phone, even if you're in a taxi, you can play something like that. Any other question? I hear someone unmute. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and drop my screen. Then we shall wait for the person who initiated the recording to drop. Susan is on phone.
Kara, you can stop the recording.
But mention the names of the attendees.
You know, this thing is for elders. You all grown up, so we don't want to push anyone. You see, when I gave homework, but few people gave feedback. I didn't push anyone. Anyway, those ones who submitted, kudos, and I will go in one by one, commenting on each, the do's and the don'ts. Maybe you can learn from there. It is all about you practice, then you know the mistakes you're doing. Otherwise, Kara, is Kara on this call?
Yes, is Kara. You stop the recording.
We don't want to lose a recording like we lost one recording on phone.
No, this one has been on the whole time.
Okay.
Sabiti. Susan.
Yeah.
So you press the end, eh?
Stop recording, not ending call.
Stop recording. Okay.